Tonight on Sports Night in Auburn, we have an exclusive interview with head men's basketball coach Bruce Pearl.
And we also have updates on the start of baseball season and the swim and dive SEC championships.
Stay tuned to see what we've got.
Sports Night in Auburn starts right now.
Auburn, Alabama, the best atmosphere in all of college sports.
He drives and slits.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Gone deep to the left.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn.
Sideline. Going to the
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn. And welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
Welcome to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Faith Richardson.
And I'm Justin Stuckey. Faith, it's been a minute.
We have not been here since last year?
Last November. But we told you guys that we would be back and we would be better. So let's kick things off with men's basketball. The number 13th ranked Tigers took on the 11th ranked South Carolina Gamecocks in Neville Arena Wednesday night for a Valentine's Day matchup. Reporter Zach Card was there. Let's check out his recap of the game.
The first of two huge matchups for the Tigers pit them against one of the hottest teams in college basketball, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Gamecocks come into this one ranked 11th in the country, and the jungle was up for the challenge. South Carolina struck first with a three from B.J. Mack, but from there it was all Auburn. Trey Donaldson hits Jalen Williams for three on the pick and pop, and there's more to come. Williams starts a 13-3 run for the Tigers. Donaldson takes advantage of the loose ball and punishes the rim. Continuing in this run, Chad Baker-Mazara trapped in the corner but finds a clever cut from Chaney Johnson with no one home. Colin Murray-Boyles was a problem inside for South Carolina with 16 points on 60% shooting, but Janai Broome was a bigger problem from beyond the arc, draining 4 triples. And just a couple plays later, the threat of Broome's shot and Donaldson's clever maneuvers lead to a tough reverse layup. Jalen Williams also not shy from beyond the arc, hitting 5 from bonus land to lead the game with 23 points. And to cap off a dominant half, Chad Baker-Mazara finds his spot and bang, beats the buzzer, and Auburn is up by 22 going into the break. From there, Auburn never looked back, having production from all over the court and down the bench. 12 Tigers scored at least one basket in tonight's game. Just when you think you've seen it all from Janai Broome, he shows why he is widely regarded as one of the best players in the country. Hits a corner three from one side, then pulls out some of the funkiest footwork I've ever seen to hit one from the other corner. And to put icing on the cake for this 40-point blowout, Chaney Johnson to Dylan Cardwell. Coach Pearl talked about how Jalen Williams and Janai Broome controlled the game.
So when you get 9 3 balls from your starting front court, it kind of makes everything you might try to do offensively work, right? That makes you hard to guard. It makes you hard to guard because what do you do? Because if you don't switch, we're going to get those shots, and if you do switch, then we're going to have mismatches on the inside. So it's not rocket science.
If you were wondering what Williams and Broome thought about their performances, they'll tell you.
You want to tell them? You want me to tell them our nickname?
All 3.
1, 2, 3. Splash Bros.
Auburn fans should be in love with the way that the Tigers play tonight, extending their win streak to 16 games against the Gamecocks. Up next, they face number 22 Kentucky here in Neville Arena on Saturday for the Outlive Cancer game. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Zach Card.
Coming off that Auburn win, looking ahead to take on number 22 at home, Kentucky. Not only was this a huge game for the Orange and Blue, but it was also a personal game for head coach Bruce Pearl, as it was the annual Outlive game. Eagle Eye's Joleigh Cavanagh was able to sit down with Coach Pearl for an exclusive interview before the matchup. Now let's go take a look.
I'm Eagle Eye reporter Joleigh Cavanagh here with 3-time SEC Coach of the Year, Auburn's very own head basketball coach, also the founder of the Outlive Initiative. Bruce, thank you so much for joining me.
Great to be with you.
Okay, so this weekend, after a big win last night, we have the Kentucky game. It is the Outlive game. So students in the jungle wear Outlive shirts, Auburn fans in the arena wear Outlive shirts. So could you tell me a little bit about Outlive, its mission, its purpose, its goals?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, and thank you for doing this. You know, the best way to outlive cancer is to detect it early. That's the bottom line. So in many ways, it's an awareness campaign. We have these t-shirts, people wear them all over, and it's just a reminder to get checked. You know, guys, there are certain things at certain ages we need to get checked. Women have certain things they need to do at certain ages to get checked. And if you detect cancer early, you got a chance of dying of something else. And it's really a life and death situation. The funds that we get from the sale of the t-shirts and people that donate, 100% of every dollar we raise, every penny we raise, goes to families in the state of Alabama who are battling cancer. They might not be able to afford the copay for the medicine that would save them. They might be sick from the chemo and are missing days of work. And so bills add up at home. It's not for research. It's for people to be able to afford the battle of fighting cancer. And last year we gave out over $250,000 in the state, and we're hoping to double that this year.
You can find the full exclusive interview with Bruce Pearl on Eagle Eye's YouTube page.
Saturday also brought in some familiar faces as the College Game Day crew came to town for this top 25 SEC matchup. Hype and anticipation spread across the plains as Auburn looked to defeat the Wildcats and extend their 16 home game winning streak. Here's Jack Corbett with his take on the game.
The New Bloods versus the Blue Bloods. Auburn versus Kentucky. This game had plenty of storylines going into it. In their last 10 matchups, both Auburn and Kentucky have won 5 games apiece, and this match right here would inevitably be the decider. Auburn also came into this game with the only remaining unbeaten SEC at-home winning streak with a perfect 13-0 mark at Neville Arena this season. Before the game, Auburn had its annual Outlive event, which is Auburn basketball's fight against cancer, started by the Bruce Pearl Family Foundation. After honoring all those who have fought long and hard against the terrible disease, it was time to play some basketball. Kentucky started the game hot. This monster jammed by Justin Edwards was the Wildcats' first point of the game, and they proceeded to go on a 11-2 run, never looking back from there and holding the lead the entire game. Kentucky this year has been notoriously known for their offense, scoring over 90 points a game. However, coming into this game, it was their defense that was the biggest storyline. Guards locked up both point guard Trey Donaldson and his counterpart Aiden Holloway and left them with 0 assists the entire game. By halftime, Kentucky held a double-digit lead and there was no turning back. It seemed like the Tigers' shots just would not fall Saturday night. Auburn shot just 18% from 3 the entire game, and their dynamic front court duo of Jalen Williams and Janai Broome combined for only 17 points on 6 of 18 shooting. Behind Kentucky's stellar guard play and the game-high 22 points put up by Antonio Reeves, Kentucky would take the win 70-59. Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl touched on the offensive mastery of Antonio Reeves and the stellar defense by Kentucky's guards after the game.
Kentucky can guard, and they can turn it up when they want to. And they outplayed us tonight. They played really well. We knew their guards were excellent. You know, Reeves has killed us every year. I think I talked about it the other day. He's just killed us. Big guard, able to make shots, and their ball pressure disrupted us. Our point guards didn't have an assist, and maybe just had one basket.
The Tigers will get a nice little break from midweek conference play before they travel to Athens, Georgia on Saturday to face UGA. For Eagle Eye TV, I'm Jack Corbett.
During the game, Auburn veteran and second leading scorer Jalen Williams left the game in the second half with a knee injury and did not return. Bruce Pearl spoke after the game and said that he was indeed hurt and Williams would have an MRI the next morning. Fortunately for the Tigers, the MRI revealed that Williams will not be out for an indefinite amount of time, and this is not a season-ending injury. The Tigers will take the court again this Saturday as they travel to Athens, facing off against the Georgia Bulldogs.
After going 1-1 this past week with their crushing win over South Carolina, but their loss at home to Kentucky, Auburn fell just 1 spot in the AP poll, going from 13 to 14. Now let's take a look at the current top 25 teams in the country.
You know, Faith, I think that this is a pretty solid list. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's good. I'm excited to see Auburn play Tennessee at Tennessee. I think that's probably going to be the most exciting game this weekend for me.
Yeah, we'll see how Auburn plays on the road. You know, they haven't had the best success throughout the year, but I think this is a solid top 25 so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, sticking with basketball, the women's team also went 1-1 this weekend. First up on Thursday, unlike the men, the Lady Tigers were able to defeat Kentucky at home with a final score of 78-50. Auburn never trailed throughout the entire game and was led by Honesty Scott Grayson and Taylon Collins. Honesty Scott Grayson led the team with 22 points, making this her 5th straight game, scoring 20 points. Taylon Collins was next up with a season high of 19 points alongside 11 rebounds, marking her 3rd double-double.
After beating the Wildcats, Auburn traveled to Tuscaloosa looking to sweep Alabama. However, that was not the case. The Auburn Tigers ended up losing to the Tide in a close matchup, 67-61. Auburn had a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, but due to 8 turnovers and shooting 3 of 12 attempts in the final quarter alone, Auburn was outscored by Alabama 25-9 in the fourth quarter, ultimately leading to an Alabama win. Coming up, the Tigers will travel to LSU to try to complete the sweep against Andrew Reese and company on Thursday. Then on Sunday, they are back at home against Texas A&M.
Now, when we come back, we will bring you up to speed on the start of the baseball season and the swim and dive SEC championships.
But first, you all know what time it is. It's trivia time.
Between both the men and women, how many swim and dive SEC championships has Auburn won? A, 23, B, 8, C, 14, or D, 19?
Be sure to let us know what you think the answer is on our Twitter at EETV_sports and on our Instagram stories at EagleEyeTV_sports. We'll see you right after the break.
You are back watching Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Faith Richardson.
And I'm Justin Stuckey. If you guessed A23, then you are correct. Auburn has won 23 swim and dive SEC titles. That is 18 on the men's side and 5 on the women's side. From 1997 to 2012, the men's team has won 16 straight championships. Faith, that sounds like a dynasty to me.
That sounds like a lot.
Hopefully they can repeat this weekend.
Yeah, and they're hosting it too, so that would be huge.
Auburn is actually currently hosting the 2024 SEC Swim and Dive Championships right now at James E. Martin Aquatic Center. After one day of competition, the men's team is currently sitting in 7th place, with competition not stopping until Sunday.
It was a busy weekend on the Plains for baseball fans as Auburn hosted Eastern Kentucky for a 3-game series. The number 15 ranked Tigers were able to sweep EKU, winning all 3 games in dominant fashion, of course. In the first game, it was opening day on the Plains with a sold-out crowd at Plainsman Park. Auburn defeated Eastern Kentucky 17-6. This crowd set an opening day attendance record, including a record of 1,091 students. The Tigers looked to clinch the series on Saturday in Game 2, and they just did that. Led by Bobby Pierce and Joseph Gonzalez, Auburn won with a final score of 6-1. Pierce led the team offensively, matching his career highs of 3 RBIs, and in his first game back from injury and 364 days after his last start, Gonzalez allowed just 1 unearned run on 2 hits in 5 innings. Finally, Auburn won the last game of this series, completing the sweep 9-1. The team is currently hosting UAB right now at Plainsman Park and will travel next to Jacksonville, Florida for the Jacks College Baseball Classic, where they will take on number 20 Iowa, Wichita State, and number 14 Virginia.
In other baseball news, 2 Tigers earned recognition. First, junior right-handed pitcher Will Cannon was named to preseason watch list for the 19th annual National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association Stopper of the Year Award. He is one of 12 relievers from the SEC, the most of any conference, named. Last year, Cannon was named to the midseason watch list, and in his first year on the Plains, led the team with 5 saves. The second Tiger honored was junior left-handed pitcher Carson Myers. He was awarded SEC Co-Pitcher of the Week after making his Auburn debut this past weekend. In his first Auburn start, Myers struck out a career-high 8 batters and had 6 scoreless innings. This marks the most scoreless innings on opening weekend since Casey Mize in 2018.
Not only was it opening day this weekend, but it was also the grand opening of Auburn's new Hall of Fame club in Plainsman Park. A tribute to Auburn's Hall of Famer and only SEC player in the Baseball Hall of Fame, Frank Thomas. The club has 108 premium seats behind home plate and 3,000 feet of club space. With the ribbon-cutting ceremony on Friday, Thomas spoke out about how much Auburn means to him and the fact that he now has both a statue and a club dedicated to him at the place where it all started for him. Auburn's athletic director, John Cohen, hopes that Thomas is just the first of many Hall of Famers this club will honor.
On to the women's side of the diamond, the number 25 Tigers won big at the Puerto Vallarta Challenge. They grabbed an 8-6 win over Wichita State in extra innings, a 6-3 win over UC Davis, and a 1-0 upset over the number 13th ranked Utah. However, the game against number 8 Clemson was canceled on Saturday due to weather. But overall, a winning weekend for the Tigers with a 3-0 record. They will be back at home this weekend hosting Longwood, Southeast Missouri State, and Northern Iowa for the Plainsman Invitational from Friday to Saturday.
On to equestrian, the number 6th ranked Lady Tigers had a dominant weekend at home, securing a 6-2 win against Dartmouth on Friday and a 14-6 win against number 8 UT Martin on Saturday. In addition, Auburn also swept the most outstanding performer honors last weekend, taking home all 4 events. Freshman Avery Glenn won for fences, senior Ellie Ferningo was awarded in flat, sophomore Caroline Friedenberg took it home for horsemanship, and lastly, sophomore Alexia Tordoff took the honor in reining. The Tigers will have a couple of weeks off before heading back home, facing off against number 2 SMU in March.
Auburn Gymnastics traveled to Baton Rouge on Friday to take on number 3 LSU. While Auburn did not come away with the win, losing 198.3 to 197.1, this marks the team's second best road score. The former Orange and Blue will be back in Neville Arena this Friday to take on number 13 Missouri for senior night, as well as the annual breast cancer awareness meet. So make sure that you show up and wear your pink. Coming up on Sports Night in Auburn, we have another draft analysis for you and updates on Jabari Smith Jr. and Walker Kessler.
But before that, we have some more trivia for you.
Who was the first player from Auburn drafted into the NBA in the Bruce Pearl era? Was it A. Sharif Cooper, B. Chuma Okeke, C. JT Thor, or D. Isaac Okoro?
Let us know who you think it is on our Instagram stories and on our Twitter. You're watching Sports Night in Auburn. We're going to be right back.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Justin Stuckey.
And I'm Faith Richardson. If you said the answer was B, Chuma Okeke, then you were right. Chuma Okeke was drafted 16th overall in the 2019 NBA draft by the Orlando Magic, where he still plays today. He started the trend of Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers having at least one player drafted every year since 2019.
We'll see if that streak stays alive this year.
Man, I hope it does.
The team's good, though.
We do have a good team. Let's figure out how to win on the road.
That's key. Speaking of the NBA, 2 former Tigers got to participate in the 2024 NBA All-Star festivities in Indiana this past weekend. The former teammates Jabari Smith Jr. and Walker Kessler were a part of the Panini Rising Stars for the second year in a row. Smith was on Paul Gasol's team alongside number 1 draft pick Victor Wembanyama and former rival Brandon Miller, while Kessler was on Jalen Rose's team playing alongside the MVP of the Panini Rising Stars, Benedict Mathurin. While Smith's team did not make it to the championship game, Kessler and Team Jalen won it all. Both former Tigers will be back in action when the rest of the NBA season picks back up on Thursday.
Jumping from the NBA to the NFL, we have another draft evaluation from reporter Micah Farmer. Let's see what he has to say on former Auburn cornerback DJ James ahead of the 2024 NFL Draft.
Thanks, guys, and welcome back to Auburn Weekly Draft Evals. Last week we talked about Nehemiah Pritchett, and this week we've got Auburn's other boundary corner in DJ James. James has exceptional fluidity and good hips, really a twitchy corner, which is something NFL teams will love about him. He also has great quick trigger ability. He's going to be able to read, react, and make a play, whether that be in the run or sitting back in the zone or in off man. He's going to excel in all of those areas. He's also great at the catch point. He'll be able to drive his hands into receivers' bread baskets and make pass breakups. He had 10 of them this season at Auburn, as well as 2 interceptions. Then along with that, more scheme versatility. He's going to be able to carry routes and man coverage because of his short area quickness. He's going to be able to cover the short area of the field, the intermediate area of the field. As far as weaknesses, he's really light, only 164 pounds, which is a big problem. That is just simply not NFL size at corner. I think that's going to be the main thing that drives him down the board for some teams. His susceptibility to double moves is also not good. Long speed, I said, is also a concern. That short area quickness is great, but once you get 30, 40 yards down the field and a receiver's running a streak, James does not have the top-end speed to always be able to keep up with that. Then finally, zone eyes and man coverage. In zone coverage, your idea is to read the eyes of the quarterback and see where he's going with the ball based off of that. The issue is James does this in man coverage, where you want to be more focused on your man, carry them up the field. And so as a result of that, James will be locked into the backfield and have no idea what's going on behind him, and he'll give up a big play. Overall, projection-wise, I think James is a day 2 pick with a ceiling to go in the mid-second round, especially to a team like the Raiders who needs help in the secondary and is not afraid to reach down the board. I think James will be a very solid starter for whoever gets him, especially in the slot or in a cover 3 scheme. And I really think in the right defense, he could develop into being a really good player for whichever team drafts him. That's all for this week, though. Next week, we'll be back with more defensive backs as we get into safety Jalen Simpson. That's all for this week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Be sure to check out Micah's in-depth analysis on Eagle Eye's website and YouTube channel.
In golf news, after his record-breaking performance at the Amir Ari Invitational, Jackson Coivon was named SEC Golfer of the Week on Wednesday. This marks his 4th SEC Weekly honor for Coivon, which is the most by any golfer in Auburn history. Currently at the number 2 spot, our men's team will be continuing their run at the Prestige Invitational in Indio, California, and will finish on Wednesday. After that, they will travel to Las Vegas for the Southern Highlands Collegiate from February 25th to the 27th.
Women's golf came in at number 15 in the latest rankings as they finished out at the Moon Golf Invitational in Melbourne, Florida. The Tigers finished up as runner-ups, which was their 3rd this season. 5th-year Megan Schofield led the Tigers throughout all 3 rounds, shooting 1 over for each.
Over to men's tennis, the Orange and Blue swept this weekend, scoring 2 shutouts against Middle Tennessee State and against the Citadel. In the first match this Sunday, the doubleheader, Auburn defeated Middle Tennessee State 4-0. The team went on to take on the Citadel, winning 7-0. Up next, the Tigers will travel to Montgomery for the Blue-Gray National Tennis Classic this Friday and Saturday.
And finally, number 12 women's tennis lost on the road to number 6 Texas in their match on Sunday. Although the Tigers were able to secure the doubles points, they could not grab any singles wins, ultimately losing with a final score of 4-1. The team will look to bounce back as they travel to Florida for matches against Pepperdine and on Friday, February 23rd and USF on Sunday the 25th.
Before we sign off, here are all the upcoming Auburn athletic events for this week.
Justin, I'm excited about the baseball game tonight. I'm actually going to head over there after.
We got to support those Tigers. I'm looking forward to the softball matchup on the women's side. They've got 3 matches Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. As a former MC, I got to support the ladies.
Of course. Maybe I'll meet you there.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's all we've got for you tonight. Be sure to follow our Instagram at EagleEyeTV_sports.
And our Twitter at EETV_sports. I'm Faith Richardson.
And I'm Justin Stuckey. You guys have a good night and make sure to wish Charles Barkley a happy birthday.
And War Eagle.